The dust is everywhere, though no wind has stirred it for years. It's finer than ash, lighter than breath, and it never settles for long. Under the dull silver of permanent cloud cover, it glitters faintly, like static caught in an invisible web. The dust's real name is Nanoparticulate Distributed Sensing Matrix. Government engineers called it NDSM at first, then simply the Matrix. But the people out on the streets found a sharper, shorter word: trace. Each mote-like bead is a machine smaller than a bacterium, printed with a lattice of circuits that remembers pressure, angle, velocity, and the chemical sense of passing bodies. When your shoe depresses trace, it compacts into a momentary scar, a perfect negative of your soul. When you speak, the vibrating air aligns the grains around your mouth, imprinting your tone. You can't run fingers down a railing, sneeze, or exhale without the dust notching it into memory. The city archivists call those memories ghosts, and they can play them back in hollow light. 1,000 translucent echoes of the living, streaming through identical streets, forever repeating what the real flesh has already forgotten. Mireia learned to walk by watching ghosts. Her earliest memory is of standing on the balcony outside her mother's apartment, small hands squeezing the corroded iron, while the public monitors flickered with pastel silhouettes. Men in work coats, children skipping, lovers leaning into each other. The display looked pretty then, almost whimsical, a civic mural made of light. She didn't know that for every flicker of pink or aqua, the directorate's pattern engines were calculating deviance quotients and criminal propensities, ranking real citizens by how far their gait, or swallow, or heartbeat strayed from normative tracks. She only knew the ghosts were beautiful and constant. When she was old enough to understand why the neighborhood kiosks carried nothing but beige ration bars, why Papa had vanished after humming a forbidden song in a lift shaft, she also understood that the beauty was a snare. Trace never stopped recording, and the ghosts never stopped betraying. Years later, the balcony is gone, torn down to widen the traffic artery, but Mireia still lives in the city's second tier, in a capsule flat wedged between vertical farms. Dust drifts through the vents every night, settling on her bedding in a soft glow. She shakes it into a jar, seals the lid, and prays the jar's polymer skin can confuse the sensors about what she has done. When she works the textile mill's night shift, she ties her hair in a tight knot so trace doesn't record the swinging strands. Loose strands make distinctive parabolas that identity software can match to one specific woman in a population of millions. She has spent her adult life studying that software, memorizing its blind spots, but none of the tricks she's gathered compare to the thing she's about to do now, at 0210 Local, on a roof near the canal. The roof is a platform of corrugated alloy streaked white with bird droppings. The dust sits atop it like powdered moonlight. Mireia meets Soren there, a tall silhouette in a hooded mantle woven with anti-static thread. Soren isn't a smuggler or a saboteur or a hacker, though she can do the work of all three. She's a choreographer. The Resistance calls her four-step because her first published covert routine required only 4 gestures to scramble an entire surveillance minute. Tonight, she's teaching Mireia a new sequence, one to be performed inside the Directorate's memory vault. The vault is where they keep the master registry of ghosts, where every breath, every footfall, every glance the city has ever produced lies catalogued in glinting blocks of quantum glass. To break a citizen out of the system, you don't hack the code. You hack the dust imprint itself. You make the dust forget. You dance. Mireia pulls her gloves tighter, feeling the electroflex filaments inside. How many cameras cover the roof's south lift? None, Soren answers, but only because this move makes them blink. She draws 2 lines in the dust with her boot, One straight, one looping. It's about interference waves. When your hip swivels here, she dots the end of the loop. The dust's magnetic resonance hits the same frequency as the camera's standby pulse. You get a 0.4-second window, enough to open the hatch. Mireya nods. It sounds like theater, but she's seen footage of Soren's team vanishing from multi-lens grids with nothing but shoulder rolls and heel snaps. 2 weeks ago, the directorate raided an alley printers guild looking for seditious pamphlets. 17 officers stormed the place, Trace mapping their every step. The replay shows the officers entering, shows the printers panicking, and then shows nothing. 2.2 seconds evaporated, a flawless gap in the continuum. By the time the dust regained consciousness, the printers were safe in another district, and the pamphlets too, fused into those citizens' very clothing seams, invisible. The little brother Mireya thought she lost is still in the system. Mateo. 13 years old, arrested for scrawling a freehand glyph on a ration bin. She has smelled fragments of him in dust near the detention tram lines. His sweat carries a sweet turmeric note, always has, but she has never been able to follow the scent into the black site cameras. Now, Four Steps crew promises they can pluck Mateo out in one night. Mireya only has to learn the dance. They rehearse on that roof for 3 hours, tracing the loops and line breaks of the pattern over and over. It feels wrong at first, too fluid. Mireya is used to walking like a ghost of herself, shoulders compressed, rib cage still, heartbeat shallow to keep them off the acoustic register. The new choreography is the opposite, a celebration of motion, hips lifting in crescent arcs, wrists whipping air into braids. By the third iteration, her muscles remember an older self, the girl who used to improvise salsa steps on the balcony while Mama clapped. She catches Soren smiling. At the end, Soren says, you lift your heel exactly when your shoulder drops. The dust file that reaches the archive reads as white noise. It isn't even blank. It's static. The analysts hate static. But the floor in the vault, Mireya asks, working the heel lift. It's still coated. I thought they purified those halls. They tried, Soren says. They vacuumed with negative pressure rigs, humidified, then scrubbed again. But Trace has self-replicating clusters. It's in every hairline seam. Enough for us. At dawn, they descend by service ladder. Mireya blinks at the milky light edging up from the horizon, wondering how the sun can look so ordinary when the sky is stuffed with recording dust. She rides a freight gondola home, uneasy, but the gesture algorithm must find nothing unusual in her posture. No alarms. She sleeps 4 hours. When she wakes, a small orb hovers by the vent, projecting Soren's voice in a whisper. Come to the obsidian promenade. Wear soles exactly 18 millimeters thick. The promenade runs beneath 2 megascrapers, whose fused glass facades reflect each other, until the walkway seems infinite. It is intentionally blank. No benches, no trash cans, nowhere to linger. That makes it the perfect place for transit moves. There's no clutter to collide with, and the open span lets dust resonate like a drumhead. Soren is waiting with 2 others, Luan, a biomechanics student who defected after his mother's medical data got sold, and Bram, retired archivist, whose job used to be reading ghosts. Bram carries a violin case. Luan straps a matte black band around Mireya's waist. Haptic instructor, he explains. It shocks you if you slip phase. Bram opens the violin case. Inside is not a violin, but a bulbous crystalline chunk shot through with amber veins. Seed, he says. 100 billion waiting. We crack this in the vault. Dust against dust, Soren murmurs. Their Trace versus ours. The plan is simple on paper. Ride maintenance lift C to sub-level 5, breach the vault perimeter, Perform clear step routine 8F. Deploy the seed. Exit through courier shaft. In reality, each verb hides a labyrinth. Ride means jam 3 separate schedule beacons, so the directorate doesn't notice an unauthorized passenger. Breach means spin the surrounding trace into a perfect replica of a locked door's previous closure sequence. Perform means dance precisely enough for quantum sensors to conclude you never existed. Clear step routine 8F contains 179 micro-gestures. A breath too slow collapses the stack. They enter through a service atrium disguised as a spa. Keying in after-hours codes Bram still remembers. Fluorescent lights hum above them. The spa's air reeks of eucalyptus, overlaying antiseptic. Trace swirls in denser eddies here, because all the surfaces are glassy smooth, nothing to cling to. Soren pulls her mantle's hood down, revealing hair cropped close to the scalp. Less turbulence. The maintenance lift accepts her badge clone and glides downward. Mireia fights the urge to tap her foot. The haptic band sends a mild shock. Impatience is technically movement. The directorate's analysts adore impatience. Its neural signature predicts black market purchases. When the doors open, Sublevel 5 might be a cathedral built for machines. It's cold, dim, echoing. A corridor of polished basalt leads to concentric doors, labeled with lines of rotating light. Each door measures heartbeats and micro-poses. Only one specific guard's pattern opens them. Bram used to be that guard's supervisor. He hands Mireia a flex sheet showing a skeletal white avatar. This is Guard 213, as recorded last night. We ghost him. The first door requires a foot plant at 23 degrees and a thigh tremor timed to a swallow. Mireia copies, arms held by her sides. The basalt rises like a tidal wave a meter ahead. Then the door dissolves. Dust and metal extrude away, parted by the sensor's misinterpretation. She exhales. Behind the second door sits the memory vault itself. A cube 30 meters on a side, wall to ceiling, lined with shelf after shelf of glimmering cubes, mem chips, stacked like lit candles. Soft white AI attendants glide between aisles, dusting every surface, with more trace to preserve fidelity. In the center floats the archive core, a hollow sphere of magnetically suspended grains. Each grain contains a fractal mapping of every ghost signature tagged for priority watch. Mateo's record is there, stamped with a juvenile offender flag. Mireia steps forward. The shock belt prods her, phase drift. She straightens her spine, lets her weight roll into the ball of her left foot, right heel trailing. Soren mirrors her to the opposite flank, Luan and Bram 2 paces behind, forming a diamond. When they begin routine 8F, the dust hears a language older than code. Weight, momentum, intention, human rhythm. Step 1. Cross right, glide left, partial squat to shift balance midair. The dust underneath compacts, reading the force as perfectly normal guard maintenance. Step 53. Finger splay at throat height. Each finger flick arcs micro-vortices that confuse the directional microphones. Luan hums a single low note to mask lung rasp. Step 99. Bram lifts the seat above his head, rotating at exactly 0.75 revolutions per second. Trace around his elbows forms toroids of static. The seed's amber veins pulse. By step 120, Mireia enters the core's outer threshold. She sees Mateo's name glowing on a mem chip. Catalog string 9SK770B. Her heart misfires. The shock belt bites her ribs. Phase slip. She almost stumbles. Then Soren is there, palm out, catching Mireia's momentum in a shared pivot. They spin together, a duet built into the routine for exactly this contingency. The dust thinks, oh, a calibration spin, nothing more. The sensors let them pass. Step 160. Bram slams the seed onto the floor,
It cracks like brittle candy. A mist of orange-tinted nanoparticles erupts, mingling with the native trace. Where they touch, equations rewrite themselves, vector logs reformat, and stored pressure maps flatten to zero. The vault's record of the last 30 seconds becomes a shimmering smear. More importantly, any ghost signature connected to that localized smear loses anchor. Mateo's file ripples. The mem chip dims, but system redundancy is ruthless. Automated plasma nozzles descend from the ceiling, ready to cauterize error. Temperature spikes. The team must finish the dance. Final 19 moves, or the rewrite hangs incomplete, and the directorate will have 12 vantage points of 4 intruders bent over a broken amber rock. Step 171. The quartet splits. Mireia rushes the memchip rack, hooking Mateo's cube with a magnetic wand, pulling it loose. Static crackles. The floor's trace panics. Whose hands are these? Which direction is gravity? It can't tell. It begins to rewrite coordinates with random seeds. The nozzles hesitate, sensors locked in semantic loops. Step 176. Soren slides under a shelf, kicks upward, shattering a node that governs backup tertiary logs. Dust showers her like silver rain. Cameras blink white. Bram plays the violin case like a drum, slapping a syncopated beat that resonates with Mireia's breathing. Louder, louder, until the room's acoustics cross the threshold of the microphone's clipping tolerance. Audio logs go corrupt. Step 179. Mireia pivots, left heel lifted, right shoulder dropped, the roof move perfected, holding the mem chip high. It lasts less than half a heartbeat, yet the dust reel glitches permanent. Where the sensors expected a guard's concluding bow, they receive the shape of pure thermal noise. Archives trust thermal noise. It's the baseline they subtract from every reading. She just rendered herself, her friends, and Mateo into that baseline. Exit. They don't run. Running is a pattern, and patterns track. They saunter, every limb loose as if enjoying off-shift banter. Trace, newly hybridized by Bram's seed, reports 4 ordinary maintenance staff clearing spent solvent. The spa's lift opens for them. They ascend in calm. Above ground, night has fallen, the city lights muted through the perpetual overcast. Soren leads them to an old amphitheater slated for demolition, where dust forms small dunes between the cracked seats. There, in a room beneath the stage, a boy sits on a cot, ankles cuffed with foam restraints. Mateo. The resistance snatched him from the detention convoy earlier in the day. They couldn't risk moving him until the records were erased. Now, officially, he never existed. Mireia kneels, hands trembling as she released the cuffs. "You're free." Mateo's eyes widen, taking in Soren, Luan, Bram, the chipped walls painted with phosphorescent lyrics to outlawed songs. At first, he says nothing. Then he whispers, "How did you find me?" "I followed the ghosts," Mireia answers, pressing her forehead to his. "And then I made them dance." Celebration is dangerous noise, so the team dances instead. No music, only the shush of feet and dust. It's almost playful this time, nothing coded. A simple circle to burn off adrenaline. Mireia pulls Mateo into the steps, showing him heel lifts and shoulder drops. The dust absorbs every shift, every laugh. But somewhere between Bram's sweeping bow and Luan's improvised backflip, the grains misfile the data. Perhaps they confuse the siblings' shared genetics. Perhaps the new seed's algorithm fractures again. Or perhaps happiness is a frequency the system never accounted for. Whatever the reason, the amphitheater ghosts won't replay tonight. Soren later leads Mireia aside. "He'll need a new name, new prints. We have sculptors for that. The dust will think he belongs to another district." Mireia nods. "And the vault memories?" "Gone. We nuked not just his file, but all minor offenses stored in that sector. 10,000 clean slates. They'll blame hardware fatigue. They step back into the room. Mateo is tracing circles in the dust with his toes, experimenting. Each circle he refines into a spiral, then into a glyph, perhaps the same forbidden glyph that got him arrested. The glow of it in the dim chamber looks defiant, yet gentle. What does it mean? Luan asks. Mateo shrugs. Nothing yet. It means whatever I choose when I finish. He scuffs the circle, starting anew. The dust forms new ridges, but he drags his heel across the first pass, so the prior track melds with the next. Erasure and creation fused in one. Outside, the city drones hum through their patrol grids, ignorant. Somewhere a monitor may flicker, and an analyst may frown at a drop of static on an otherwise perfect feed. But static is easy to ignore. The directorate will shrug, file a maintenance request, and move on. Certain the matrix still blankets every surface. Certain every citizen remains accounted for. They will escort other children down other corridors. Confident Trace will keep those tiny rebels pinned like gnats. Yet dust is fickle, like memory. And now a new rhythm lives inside it. One built of loops and line breaks, heel lifts and shoulder drops, capable of folding a surveillance minute inside out. 4 Steps crew will teach it again and again, until what was once invisible becomes untouchable, until entire neighborhoods sway together, and the Matrix forgets them all. Mireia imagines a day when the balconies of her childhood are rebuilt, their iron bars warm under dawn sun. No camera cares to record. She imagines a city not scrubbed of dust, but bursting with it, each grain singing untraceable harmonies. For now, there is only this night, the brother beside her, the dancers practicing soft revolutions in cracked concrete wings. She pulls Mateo into another step, and Soren counts the beat and whispers, meant for no microphone. The dust hovers, watching. But when the boy laughs, it blurs as if embarrassed. And just like that, the city loses its grip for one more perfect heartbeat.